Zoom. All right, community dinner, outdoor style. First time in a long time outdoors. So this is an outdoor area at Jose Park in Santa Cruz. The analytics are like the videos are getting 30 to 40 views a week or more. So keep pumping those through. And tonight, by special request, Dopamine Detox. What the heck is that? So there's a couple of questions, like, what is dopamine, first of all, and it's a neurotransmitter, first of all. So what the heck's a neurotransmitter? Anybody want to, what's a neurotransmitter?
It's a signal. It's some kind of signal.
It's a signaling device. There you go. Okay, good. Like transmission, think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Neurotransmission.
Mm-hmm.
What's neuro mean?
Brain or around there.
Nervous system.
Or the whole nervous system.
So it's sort of like the body. I like to think of hormones and neurotransmitters as like signals in the body. Says that the liver says, hey, we need this, so it signals the brain to secrete, to make the digestion secrete cholecystokinin, for example. So there's a loop from the liver to the brain, and the brain goes, oh, gallbladder, please secrete CCK when you start eating cholecystokinin. And there's these feedback loops. So ideally, your hormone or neurotransmitter, it does its signal and then is broken down immediately to its parts. Do you think that's happening in today's world? No. So the way to think about it is, you got this, when you go into like the health food store, or way back in the day, the take a number system. Mm-hmm. Like you wait behind the counter and take a number. And they call your number when they're ready. The liver is sort of like that. So the liver can only process so much at once. So it's like take a number. Okay, next one. It's processing. And this is occurring at a breakneck speed. Every microsecond, every millionth of a second, something's getting broken down. So we're talking very quick. So what happens then is there's so much in our environment and in our bodies that is taking up energy, right? There's all this cleanup and all these extra work that our liver has to do that is over and above what it normally would have to do. So then neurotransmitters and hormones don't get broken down as fast as they should, and they recirculate. That's what estrogen dominance is. You hear people talking about out there in public. Estrogen dominance is nothing more than there's too much estrogen in the system and not enough breaking down of the estrogen. So same thing, you could have testosterone, you could have thyroid hormone, you could have insulin, and we call that resistance at some point, insulin resistance. But you could have any hormone or neurotransmitter resistance on the cell level, and we don't talk about that. So you could have cortisol resistance, or you could have epinephrine resistance, or you could have thyroid hormone resistance, or you could have insulin resistance. You could have dopamine resistance. And I believe that's why they're trying to focus on this. People are trying to see, so here's what dopamine looks like. This will be, if you're watching this recording, it'll be on the a link. Oh, wait, no, it's right here. So dopamine looks like this. Dopamine is C6H11, nitrogen, and oxygen. So the nitrogen, and it has that little ring there. So that ring is called a benzene ring, and generally, when you're looking at a benzene ring, or you're talking about, hydrocarbons and sort of stimulating compounds. So this is what a protein is made out of, those same things. Remember the chosen ones? C, H, S, O, S, and N? All proteins are made out of those 5 elements. And look at those 4 elements there. So dopamine is made from protein. It's made specifically from tyrosine.
So it goes tyrosine, L-dopa, dopamine. Is that the cascade?
Let's see. It's done by the hydroxylation of L-tyrosine, and it's further processed into norepinephrine by dopamine beta hydroxylase enzyme. Shall I go on? So there's a series of steps.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
in those series of steps, it's so a neurotransmitter is a transmission, and dopamine's one of them. And because I'll keep it really general of how it's made. So this is one of the things so how do you do a dopamine detox? Well, first of all, you have to understand that dopamine's part of stimulation. So we need a stimulation detox is what we're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We need a stimulation detox. So on my little cue card here. It says, why should I pay attention to this? Because this is going to be an article. If they're reading it, it's like the second or third line is going to be, why should I even care? Well, if you have a slow liver that's unable to process this stuff, then you're never going to be as happy or as energetic or as healthy as you could be unless you address this. So the central issue with this is liver. And another central issue is being able to break down and process protein. One of the number one problems I'm seeing with people is protein deficiency. So how do I know that? Well, here's all the things that protein gets made into. It gets made into your bones, not calcium. That's a bunch of horse shit. We were fed. Calcium's part of the matrix, but the more important part of the matrix is the protein. I know that because they used to call arthritis 100 years ago cooked food disease.
Yep.
Huh.
You said that.
Why would they say that? Well, then you take it to the end. This whole, I talk about the same thing over and over again. So then you go back to Edward Howell in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They were testing people's white blood cell response after various types of meals. And so what they found was the origin of autoimmune. The more cooked food, the more wheat, the more refined foods you ate, the higher the white blood cell count was after you ate. So if it's 4 million before you eat and it's 7 million after you eat, that's not good. That means you have 3 million extra cops trying to blow up your gut lining.
And that's part of the autoimmune response?
That's the beginning of it. Is the continued assault with cooked and refined foods. And that makes us tired because the body is making extra white blood cells in the bone marrow. That's tiring us out. We could have those resources to think because everything's run by enzymes. Everything, even thinking, is run by enzymes. And we talk about brain fog. Well, cooked food and brain fog go directly together. Why? Because you're taking your enzymes for the cooked food that you would normally have for thinking. I'm not a raw foodist either. I'll be clear about that. I don't believe in 100% raw food. I don't think that's the right way to go, especially in the wintertime in Alaska. Yeah, eat raw seal blubber and raw meat and raw fat and you'll do fine.
You're an Eskimo.
Raw bird food up in Alaska ain't going to get you very far.
Right, yeah.
Not gonna make
And
it.
hang out with, what's his, Wim Hof?
Yeah, hang out with Wim Hof, right.
Context is decisive.
Hang out with Wim Hof.
I want to hang out with Wim Hof.
We got to get Cindy Toon on that because Wim Hof, one of the techniques of staying warm is like it's more of an inhale and less of an exhale. And Cindy's whole thing has been about exhaling and holding the breath out. But to me, you're getting colder doing that because you're this was when you breathe air in. So why should I pay attention to this? Another reason to pay attention to it is, do you want to have more energy and do you want to have better health and better mood? So liver, what's an easy one for the liver? So the number one thing that's easy for everybody to do is eat less. Eat less in general. I was looking in the annals and the paperwork research I was doing today, and carbohydrate excess is a problem for this. They're called advanced glycated end products when you eat too much carbohydrate. Advanced glycated end products are what causes Alzheimer's, MS, and some of the neurological problems. So, Carol doesn't have this yet. So you can go to your doctor and they measure your.
What, did everybody else already?
You just haven't been regularly seeing. I talk every week.
Oh no,
for
it's
years.
very interesting. Is it the ash that forms after you eat? There's an ash that forms. from
That's
different
not what
foods?
happens.
That's not it. So
That's not what happens after. We don't make food into ash.
Oh, okay.
That's how they measure the alkalinity of various foods is they'll
Oh,
burn an
okay.
orange to its ash and then add
Okay.
water and measure the pH.
Okay.
And that's how they measure alkaline and acid
That's
acidity
what
of
it is.
various foods.
Okay.
You burn a steak down to the ash, and it has an acid ash. You burn milk down to its ash. It's a neutral ash.
That's not anything to do with the carb.
No, the carbohydrate. So all caloric foods are acidic. All fats, all carbs, and all proteins are acidic. Carbs aren't better than protein in that sense. As a matter of fact, your amino acid pool in your body is what helps maintain pH. So it's another reason to have enough protein in your diet. Because if you don't have enough amino acids in your diet, you can't maintain healthy pH. because out of the 22 essential amino acids, a couple of them are used for managing pH. Then we've got, let's go back, advanced glycated end products. So the way you know you're not getting too much, you're getting just the right amount is you can do the Chronometer app and type in all the foods you're eating, then you get your grams of carbohydrate at the end of the day. And for most Americans, 250 grams of carbohydrates times 4 is the calories. That's 1,000 calories a day from carbohydrates is more than enough. Go ahead. Yes.
So when you're talking about carbohydrates, are you also talking about the carbohydrates from vegetables?
Yes. In total.
Okay.
In total, all of it.
Okay.
I've used the app and it's phenomenal. If you think you're low carb, go get on that app and put everything in.
It's
and
very
at the
humbling.
end of the day, you're like, wow.
It's very humbling. Very humbling.
So are you telling me or telling us that there are some foods that are not caloric?
So your non-caloric foods or your low-caloric foods, i.e. fruits and vegetables, are more alkaline. And your caloric foods are acidic. So that's an easy way to remember what's acid and what's alkaline, right? Isn't that easy to remember? Seaweeds, fruits and vegetables, generally alkaline. Meat, dairy, grains,
Coffee.
beans, coffee, nuts and seeds, drugs
All
are
the
all
things we
acidic.
love.
Even if it's yogurt?
All the
Well,
addictive-
yogurt is sort of neutral
That's what I said.
depending on the amount of sugar you put in it. So if they sweeten it up, it's going to turn acidic.
But if it's totally unsweetened, whole milk, raw yogurt, then
The raw yogurt, though.
Yeah, or kefir. And
Kefir, yeah.
so what they're writing about is when you get too much sugar in the diet, then the neurotransmitters don't work well either. And you can measure whether you've got too much AGEs, advanced glycated end products, through, you can measure your fasting insulin, your fasting glucose, and your hemoglobin A1c.
not your triglycerides.
That's a good one too. Yes, you
Okay,
can do
so
that.
put that all together. Okay.
Yeah, your triglycerides is actually, that's a direct correlation, isn't it? So what is hemoglobin A1c? We've had this conversation before, and everybody thinks it's like, it's my blood sugar marker over a 3-month period. That's correct. But why is it tied to hemoglobin? That's a red blood cell. What the fuck does a red blood cell have to do with your blood sugar? Is my question.
Great question.
Right? Hemoglobin A1c. So I scratched my head years ago when I first learned this. I'm like, how? What? Somebody explain this to me, please. So I got my explanation. And I'm going to explain it to you. Why are they measuring your blood sugar levels with red blood cells? Doesn't that seem odd? Isn't that odd?
I don't know what to say. I mean,
To me, it's odd.
I would
Like,
think
what? Why are they doing that? So what's a hemoglobin A1c? Like, what the heck's an A1c, right? Because hemoglobin, you can measure your hemoglobin levels on your blood work. You can measure your hemoglobin. But so what's the difference between hemoglobin and hemoglobin A1c?
Does it have to do with the oxygen that the red blood cell is carrying?
That's the regular hemoglobin.
Okay.
I already gave you guys the clue.
When was that?
I talked about advanced glycated end products earlier. How's that connected to hemoglobin?
Because your body's manufactured your blood cells all the time.
Your red blood cells, yes. But how's that connected to advanced glycated end products or excessive
So the
carbohydrate?
red blood cells are carrying those around?
And then if the number's high, you have a high A1C.
Very good, but it's a little bit different than that. It's how much sugar-coated red blood cells do you have is the quick answer.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Sugar is very sticky, isn't it?
Sugar-coated.
That's what hemoglobin A1c is. It's sugar-coated red blood cells that don't travel well through the body.
Interesting. And how does that link to
Imagine-
dehydration? Because a lot of diabetics all of a sudden become then dehydrated and have chronic.
Well, think about it. You've got this capillary out here, like because diabetics get they get the lack of circulation. So you
Yeah.
have this capillary out here that's that big, and the red blood cell exactly fits in that. So if you have a little molecule of sugar stuck to the red blood cell,
It's not gonna fit.
it sticks in the capillary and clogs up the capillary.
Okay.
So it's like throwing mud down your hose.
That's why then the heart also becomes, it's not just, it's all over the body. Oh, the capillary. Yeah, all over.
Well, that sugar, that damaged hemoglobin sugar molecule is acidic, and it starts to erode the inner part of the capillary lining, and that's the origin of arterial sclerosis. One of them,
All reversible.
to a point.
Okay.
There's a point where it can't be. So that's the long and the short of it. So the kind of went. The fastest way to get your blood sugar down is to not have sugar. and the best herb is Gymnema, Gymnema. It's called the sugar buster in Ayurveda. They've known this for thousands of years. If your fasting glucose is 150, you start using Gymnema, generally it'll drop to 100 within a few weeks or months.
How do you find, I don't know how to say that. How do you say it?
Genema.
Gym, Gymnema, Nema.
How do you compare berberine to
It's a different action
I see.
because berberine is working through the liver and the portal circulation, and Gymnema is more working directly with blood sugar itself.
Got it.
Berberine is more of an indirect route to affect blood sugar, as far as I understand it, because you've got different herbs with berberine. You've got greater celandine, golden seal, coptis. There's so many. Oregon grape, philodendron. You can go on and on and on. I've been through this too many times.
What about chromium?
Oh boy.
It's controversial, isn't it?
Well, no, it's just so Center Process has a high chromium yeast. So what they do is they have a yeast culture, and it shits out chromium. So their Cataplex GTF, which one of my clients is on currently, that's the product that has adrenal support, liver support, pancreatic support, chromium, and because the three main organs of blood sugar regulation are liver, pancreas, and adrenals. And so a correct formulator would address all three, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then the chromium is part of that. So taking chromium without addressing the organs is like, let's see, it's like starting a fire without wood. It just doesn't work. You know? Let's see. What is a detox? Why is detox from dopamine important? And I have this little diagram here. So it's important because when we have too many, let's say we have these receptors on our cells, let's say that's a cell membrane there. And if it's coated with, let's say this is a molecule here, and you've got like hundreds of these around the cell membrane. This is like what viruses are, by the way. So you get enough of these molecules floating around your cells, and then the cell membrane can't open and close, right, to let stuff in, nutrients in, and let waste out. So dopamine being part of that. So if you're stuck in epinephrine, adrenaline, dopamine, glutamate cycle of excitability, and you can't get your cells to open up and let the waste out, then you're stuck. Right? You're stuck in a highly excitable pattern. So what I did, so there's herbs that stimulate dopamine, and the two you need to avoid are kava and mucuna puriens, or velvet bean in Ayurveda. Those two directly support dopamine synthesis, which means if you're depressed, you need dopamine. Or maybe more sex, because orgasm is impacted, there's a dopamine surge with climax.
Right.
The oxytocin occurs with the stuff prior to climax.
Versus kava is negative. Like
Well, kava is a big liver burden. It's a level 2 toxic. Valerian, kava, golden seal, passion flower, they're to be used no more than a few weeks at a time, and then a break.
Is that the same as kava kava?
Yeah. So I overdosed on kava 20 years ago when I started my herbal, career 25 years ago, and I thought, I was kind of depressed, and so kava was like, woo! For a few months, I was taking the kava lactone paste, the straight active ingredient. Fuck my liver up.
I wish I knew
I
it.
was doing wild lettuce
Do you
and
have any good
kava.
videos from back then?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Do you have any good videos from back
I'd
then?
love to see your world back then. Yeah. Give me
Lit
pictures.
up
That
like
would
a
help too.
Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I have a picture of me when I was in my hot shot early 30s, godlike surfer. You can't believe how good looking I was. I'm doing this in a picture. I'm all so full of myself. Everybody I know hates it, but I love it because it's like a picture of vanity. It's like, oh, there's vanity right there. That's correct. So I have that picture. I'll show it to you guys. And, I'll post it on the web, and then you guys can all comment, on Facebook.
the next
Like,
community.
yeah, look at Craig, arrogant son of a. Uh-oh. Okay, we just got audio. That's okay. We'll just do audio. All right. So the stuff what you want to do. So you want to stimulate this other pathway of tryptophan and GABA. And now that kind of offsets the dopamine, and you want to do liver support. So Hey, that's a plug for the cleanse coming up. Hey. So you get your liver cleared of all the burden, do some cleansing, do some fasting. And then I found a couple of nutrients that were pretty important. If you're going to take magnesium, helps balance all this out. There's your magnesium.
Yeah,
Dean.
yeah, yeah.
You can't sleep without it, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I like crave it. Yeah.
I've been doing it too.
Yeah.
I've just started
and
taking
I
it.
actually do more than what's required.
Yeah.
I do 900 milligrams a
I was
day
gonna
now.
say 800.
Yeah.
I do about 800.
I'm about
Yeah,
900
I'm
a day.
actually almost out, so I need some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I found a really high dose one by Jigsaw Health on the web. I have a web account now with full script, so I can get any brand now for cheaper than you can get it with the supplement company. And it's Jigsaw Health Magnesium SRT, the synthetic B vitamin free one. And their high dose is 125 milligrams of magnesium malate per tablet.
It's malate, not glycinate.
It's a malate, yeah.
Okay.
The only one you really want to avoid is the citrate.
Right. The glycinate's okay, but the malate's better or similar.
I have a document, if anybody wants it, I have a document on like at least 12 forms of magnesium and what each one does.
Stay away from that citrate.
Just stay away from citrate. And then,
Citrate.
but each magnesium has a different thing that it does in the body. So like chloride, magnesium chloride is a disinfectant and man, it's laxative. That's seawater magnesium. Man, it just clears you out. Versus magnesium malate stimulates stomach acid because malic acid comes from apples and malic acid is known to stimulate stomach acid. So by taking that form of magnesium with meals, you're helping your digestion. Glycinate form, glycine binds with heavy metals.
Perfect.
So if you take magnesium glycinate, then you're doing heavy metal binding plus getting magnesium.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Pull
yes,
it out
generally
the
a good
body.
idea. Generally a good idea.
Good, good, good. I'm taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's just food forms. Another one is a standard process product. They're listing it. I'm listing it as B6 niacinamide. Doesn't mean go out and take a bunch of B6 and niacin. That's not what that means. So the product that has both of those in large amounts from standard process is called Cataplex G as in God. So you might ask yourself, what the hell is vitamin G? Right? So vitamin G was the old name back 80, 90 years ago for riboflavin. The B vitamin riboflavin, which I think is B2. I think niacin's B3. So riboflavin was called vitamin G before they started their numbering system. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
So that part of the B complex is relaxing. And Standard Process is the only company in the history of the universe to differentiate between the Bs that are stimulating and the Bs that are relaxing. So they have Cataplex B, which is their stimulating sympathetic nervous system sort of stimulant B, and the G, which is the parasympathetic, which you need for the dopamine to offset.
G is the equivalent to B2.
Turns out one part of the B complex, like B1 through 12, B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, are water soluble, but part of the B complex is fat soluble.
Oh, interesting. Is the 4 parasympathetic like the 2? Only because a neurologist, when I was in my 30s, I had some migraines, and they said take B4. Sorry. Yeah.
B4 cannot be synthesized.
What is that? Oh, so it's
B4, if you look it up on the web, is called pigeon heart block factor.
So it's bad. It's negative.
No, it's the fat soluble protector for thiamine B1,
Oh.
and it's only from whole food. They didn't list it as an actual B back in 1930 when they were doing all this because they couldn't synthesize it from cheap GMO chemicals.
So which food could include B4?
Liver.
Raw liver.
Yeah, liver. B5, pantothenic acid, is the one that helps offset dopamine. So that's where I would say if you're going to take a synthetic, so I have it written down right here, what B5 does. Somewhere in there. Looks like our, there,
Oh, yeah.
over here a little bit. Looks like a fire.
It's like we're camping.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's see if I can find the B5 here. So that's pantothenic acid, and they recommend it for allergies too, which I find interesting.
Interesting.
And if you're watching this video, or any of you guys, there will be a link to the article that's going to be on the website, and we're going to do a bunch of social media posts on this. So far we've got the B vitamins. So if you didn't want to do a supplement, yeah, I'd say eat liver, rice bran, wheat germ, bee pollen. This is high in bees. Most of your organ meats. Am I forgetting anything? Nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast. Okay, let's stop there. And then the B5, I can't find it in here. Then your they're saying dark berries, dark fruits and vegetables, cruciferous veggies, a low calorie but higher protein diet with the right amount of fat and or carbs. But protein, this is what I've been doing. When I read this, I was like, no wonder I was drawn to live the way I do. I was telling Carol, I think, when I work on people or have a day at the office, I don't eat much, and because I'm sitting a lot, and so it's protein and veggies with a little bit of fat, and that's exactly what they're saying to do to get your dopamine detox. Because for me, I want to be sharp, and if there's a bunch of food in our gut, are we sharp?
No.
We're not. And that's exactly what they're saying to do when you're going through a dopamine detox is just eat just enough protein to replenish your neurotransmitters, which I didn't finish that conversation. What else does protein get made into? So we said connective tissue, neurotransmitters, obviously.
Cholesterol?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
What other hormone gets made out of protein? Hint, hint. It's a blood sugar hormone.
Insulin.
Insulin is made from protein.
So is that why when I eat more protein in a day, like if I just keep eating more protein, my numbers are phenomenal. Like,
Right.
I can
Well,
go
you're-
down to like 80 or 70.
But you're a protein type, metabolic
yeah,
type.
yeah, I'm a
you know.
protein type.
A
But
carb
I'm fat
type.
second. I'm like fat second. What are you?
So on the ABC test, I have 39C, 15B, and 5A. So I am like not even close to a carb type. It sucks because I like rice. Or my bugs like rice. I just say that, yeah. Maybe I don't like rice. Maybe it's the bugs. Protein gets made into your skin, right? Your
Skin,
organs.
hair, nails.
All the linings of your organs is made from epithelial tissue. Your gut lining is made of protein. And your gut lining, which if you stretch it out would cover a tennis court, has to be renewed in 3 days. Yeah, if you pulled your intestines out and stretched it out, it would go all the way over there and all the way over here, and that all has to be renewed every 3 days.
Who wants to eat healthy?
So if you're not eating enough protein and fresh vitamin C, because those are the two main factors for renewing the gut lining, you ain't going to renew your gut lining, which means you have permeable, leaky gut, which is most of America.
Is ascorbic acid the same as getting vitamin C?
No.
No.
Ascorbic acid is one enzymatic step removed from GMO corn syrup.
So do you mean all the little tiny berries that have all the C in it?
Yeah, you want the bioflavonoid-rich C complex. So it's why, like, you see the acerola one, that the mega foods, whatever they do, the acerola vitamin. So Royal Lee with Standard Process was researching all this back in 1930 to 1935. And he deemed acerola a non-functional C. Why do you think? Too high in ascorbic acid, too low in bioflavonoids. The C complex, remember, it has copper in it. There's bioflavonoids in it. It has tyrosinase, which is an enzyme related to tyrosine, which gets made into the thyroid hormone. So that's very strange that the vitamin C complex in some way is indirectly related to the thyroid hormone. What the fuck? There's something called the J factor in vitamin C.
What's that?
There's ascorbic acid part of the vitamin C. I won't go into all of it now because it's just this audience, but there's a lot more to the C complex than what we originally thought.
So what's the best to take?
See that grass over there?
Yeah.
Go eat it.
Yeah.
Wheatgrass.
Vitamin C is made from sugar in the plant, the ascorbic acid part, and sugar is made from sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Plants are making something from nothing. So that's the best form of vitamin C. You want to detox from all the modern world stuff? Get yourself a garden. And where's that green juice? This was a bunch of plants earlier, folks. And some of these
Barley grass.
fresh barley grass.
Not the
Not cut barley grass that sat in your fridge in a plastic bag for 3 days.
Or ever,
Once
or
you
ever
cut a
did.
plant from its life force, which is on the earth, within 24 hours, the vitamin C is down 80 to 90%.
What about
Most people are eating their health food store vegetables, which are 3 to 4 days old. Do not kid yourself. So they're vitamin C deficient fruits and vegetables we're eating.
paying a good amount of money for it. So.
And so we're all in a state of scurvy. Most Americans are in a state of vitamin C deficiency, and they don't even know it.
What do you think of common?
So I tell people, like, we're going back to the garden, right? We can see that. We need to go back to having our own garden. So if you want to detox, so if let's say you're at home and you're thinking, I'm too overwhelmed. I don't want to grow a garden. What the fuck? So if you're going to grow one plant for today's world that covers a lot of bases, I would grow gynostemma. Because it helps detox, it helps blood sugar, it helps circulation. It has 3 times the adaptogens of ginseng. What the fuck?
Vitamin C too?
All plants have vitamin C. We'll just start with that.
It
But yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
What's
They
it called
keep
again, this
fresh.
plant?
Gynostemma. And gynostemma is also a complete amino acid profile.
Amazing.
So that's what we're going to do on the 27th. Because we're going to take cuttings of gynostemma, and you guys can take a cutting, put it in some water, take it home, and hopefully it'll root for you.
And Standard Process doesn't sell that, do they?
No,
Oh, okay.
they haven't gotten onto it yet.
All right,
Let's see.
Just one other thing. What about this liposomal vitamin C?
Yeah, you're a guinea pig.
Say what?
You're a guinea pig.
Because we don't know yet. We don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
No, we don't know.
This is from
This
Dr.
is
Mercola.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, Mercola's making you into a guinea pig.
Make you into what?
Vitamin C is water soluble, and liposomal implies they're making it fat soluble. So they're playing God.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to take it. I will never take it.
But he has a lot of.
I'm going to wait 10 years for all of you that are taking it to see what happens to you. Then I'll find out, and then I might recommend it if everybody's not dead.
A couple days ago, I had a weird sore throat on one side, and I took his vitamin C, the liposomal one, and I had seen a doctor, what's his name? Sorry. Anyway, he was an infectious disease guy in Hawaii. Can't even say it. Anyway, he said to me, if I had COVID or something like that, I should just open that up and take it, because it would go to the throat right there. And the truth is, that sore throat went away within 30 minutes with some chamomile tea, and I was able to fall asleep, and was like, wow. And then I got up, and I was coming back. I took one more, or I chewed it. I opened it up, chewed it.
Right.
I made myself into a guinea pig. And it went away, and I slept for about 6 or 7 hours, and I woke up, and it was like, oh my God.
Okay, so I'm going to...
So good.
People might not be able to hear you, but for the camera, I'll mention.
Oh.
So Carol over here, you can't see her on the camera, but Carol, I'm not saying not to use liposomal C or ascorbic acid because they're nutraceuticals. You can't make the whole food C complex liposomal. You can only make the ascorbic acid part. Let's be clear about that. So, again, you're back to this skeleton molecule that's related to sugar, right? And you're making it fat soluble in some way, which means you're going to affect your cell membrane. So in the long run, my statement is, don't use it. Like, I'm okay to use niacin, any of the nutraceuticals, which are halfway to a drug. Use them short term, 2 or 3 months at most. The COVID recommendations, the D3, the zinc,
Pull
the
up your
ascorbic
D, pull up
acid,
your
great,
B12.
do it for a few weeks. But not long-term daily, right? Because all the ascorbic acid, so liposomal C, in the long run, will mess your mitochondria up so much you won't be able to have energy. Because ascorbic acid fucks with copper and magnesium metabolism. And that's what you need to control oxygen and iron in the mitochondria. Oxidative stress starts with iron and oxygen mismanagement. And all the COVID recommendations fuck with that if you did it long term.
Well, that's where Big Wellness comes in. All the liposomal. It's not just C. There's different.
I'm not doing it.
There's a
I'm
bunch of
never going to
different-
touch
There's a
it.
bunch of different liposomal, and it's just big money.
Glutathione. They've got
Yeah,
it
yeah,
in
they've got
there.
that. And what
We're
it is
playing
they'll Put
God.
it up, which they'll put it up $20-$30, and it's like, stop Big Wellness. Okay.
You know how to get glutathione, folks? Eat raw radish family, raw cruciferous vegetables, and raw onion family. That spicy sulfur flavor, those are thiols, and thiols are related to glutathione. Thione. It's so fucking ridiculous. Eat plants with sulfur in them, with thiols, and you'll get your glutathione. You don't need reduced glutathione. So what happens if atomic bombs launch and there's nobody making glutathione anymore? All you got's the
your
earth.
Radish and your onion.
You better get your radish and onions out, folks. Oh, but I can't digest onions, Craig. I get symptoms. That means your sulfation pathway in your liver's fucked up. There's a sulfur pathway in the liver. And if you get symptoms I used to get symptoms from raw onions. and raw radishes and all that. Horrible symptoms.
Symptoms like what?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, we're
Depend headaches,
Oh.
rashes,
Okay.
body aches and pains, because there's all these pathways that have to be, like estrogen has to be detoxed. That's the, what pathway is that? And then there's a sulfur pathway, and there's all these pathways that stuff gets broken down and altered in the liver to something less toxic. It's called phase 1 detox, phase 2 detox, and that's what you see when you look at the half-life of a drug, like on the drug stuff, how long it takes it to halfway break it down. That's from the liver detox pathways. CYP, there's some long code for it, not worth going into. Let's see, we're going to button this up here in a minute. We're at 35 minutes. Let's see, so tryptophan. So on this document, got a little mosquito problem. Let's see if I left out anything here. Tryptophan-rich foods. So sunflower sprouts are a good way to offset dopamine excess. Spinach, crab, eggs, sesame seeds. Shellfish in general looks like it's high in tryptophan. Of course, dairy is.
Is turkey high tryptophan?
Oh, that's what
Yeah,
that's why I know that.
Turkey is.
Turkey, yes,
If
turkey.
you eat it, you go to sleep or something.
Wild game, tuna, chicken, sea fish, duck, pork, organ meats. And then pumpkin leaf.
Oh.
Never thought to eat pumpkin leaves.
Oh.
Cremini or common mushrooms, fish
I was about to
eggs,
say, I didn't know that existed.
turnip greens, rapini, broccoli rabe,
Some of those Italian.
yeah, cheeses, lamb, chia seeds,
Oh.
mustard greens, asparagus, beet greens. Chia.
We've got some of those things on the table.
Oh, I found B5. So B5 helps conversion of choline to acetylcholine. And there's a little blurb here written by one of my colleagues. The acetylcholine factors will tend to stimulate parasympathetic outflow. Dopamine encourages sympathetic dominance or outflow. So you do acetylcholine, which is B5, helps that get going faster. On the other hand, the alkaline ash minerals. So when you think alkaline ash mineral, you think seaweed, alfalfa greens, vegetables. Salt has alkaline ash minerals in it. The alkaline ash minerals function at the tissue level by varying the response of the tissues to stimulation. So one of my teachers says, if you think of minerals in general, think of them as the brakes for the fast-moving car that is your nervous system.
Interesting.
Think of minerals as the brakes to slow down your nervous system. Does that make sense?
So when you're feeling a little nervous, you could take minerals and that would just like.
That's what I do all day. I'm on the standard process organically bound minerals that Wally Schmidt here talks about. And that's just alfalfa juice concentrate and seaweed concentrate in little pills. And so you could have seaweed in your bone broth. And you could add alfalfa juice to it if you want, alfalfa powder. And then
Dulse or kombucha, like kombu. What kind of seed?
I'm a big fan of kombu.
Yeah, kombu.
So what I'm saying is, if you're in this, the theme is dopamine detox. So if you're having trouble with, wow, I'm just not able to calm down, then you would go to the minerals, like what you did, Lars, or seaweed and bone broth, or
Magnesium?
magnesium is very key. So raw leafy greens is your best way to get magnesium, or green juices, because it's at the center of the chlorophyll molecule. So you could ask McAvoy about this, because that's how they test for red blood cell magnesium and red blood cell zinc and red blood cell copper. They have a little test for this that Michael knows about. So your red blood cell magnesium is as or more important than your serum or blood levels of magnesium. Because remember, the hemoglobin, which is the red blood cell part, and the chlorophyll is identical. Plant blood and human blood is identical, except for magnesium at the center of the plant blood molecule and iron at the center of the human blood molecule. So that's why your red blood cell magnesium is so important. You get leafy greens with high in chlorophyll, you're getting magnesium by default. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. Well, one little question is, so in a world gone mad, it's a little nerve-wracking. So maybe a bone broth with minerals and some fat, right? And what other kind of things in there would be?
So if you're a carb type, that's not going to do well for you.
I'm not. I mean, I love.
But we have to speak to the carb type because we're
I see.
the mixed carb types are,
Not
you
very
know,
good.
in the warmer climates especially. So they would do bone broth without the extra fat,
Oh, I
and
see.
they might cook brown rice into it
I see.
and do like a rice slurry or a
Okay.
rice
There you
congee,
go, congee.
and they're going to be much happier. And then the paleo people would add their butter or coconut
Just get
oil
their fat
to
on
their
it.
bone broth,
Yeah.
but not the carb types.
Everybody can add the minerals.
And you know, because just by trial and error, you would know, oh, I did the fat with my bone broth and I feel rotten.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll cook it and I'll do a soft rice with it. Oh, I feel fantastic.
Yeah. I know
So that's how you
somebody
find
who
out.
feels horrible when they put fat with that. Okay.
Alkaline ash minerals will affect tissue response in such a way as to enhance parasympathetic or rest and repair and dampen or stop sympathetic dominance. Cataplex G, or vitamin, the relaxing part of the B complex, seems to have its effect by both neurotransmitter activity and tissue response. Most people are not getting enough B vitamins in general. So, if you're watching this video, please look at the social media posts of Health Alchemy. Please look at the website. There will be much more about this. This is going to be another topic in 2 weeks. We're going to go into this more because I'm going to research it. And I think it's really important to look at hormones and neurotransmitters in general because they're part of what our body's producing to be broken down, because there's signaling mechanisms that aren't being broken down, and then they're recirculating around, and we're wondering why we have all these weird problems. So the solution is do the cleanse.
June
that
3rd.
note-
June 3rd.
On that note,
I gotta go, but
wait, let me turn this thing off.
I'm gonna
So thanks
do
for
a
watching, folks, and we're going to end this video.